What's going on, fellas? This is college football preview of the Fade U podcast. We got Joey Cheese and Hazmat Suit in the building. Kmart can't grace us with his presence. He's too busy at Lambeau this week doing the stadium tour like a goddamn tourist today. But, probably freezing his balls off. So we got a whole big slate of games. Joey Cheese, as usual, going to take us through it. I know we got a few requests on some games to kind of review, so we're going to have Joey kind of start us off. And what do we got, man?
What up, boys? Welcome in. Fade U, 4 idiots, college football. Damn, man, week 13, like this season has flown by. I know I speak for us as a whole. I know the Fade U boys have had a pretty good college football season as a whole. Documented on our show. I know we've given out way more winners than losers here. Hazmat Suit, thanks for joining us this morning. I know you've been out the last couple of weeks doing some running around with the wifey and handling some other business. So welcome back. Chase, thanks for firing us off this morning. We got some games to go over. Glad we are starting at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time this morning. Give the guys some time to watch the show, catch some best bets. Let's get right into it, man. I know Chase has a couple plays. Duke has some poopy stuff he wants to give out. I have 2 plays I put in football this morning. But first and foremost, I want to touch on a 12 o'clock kickoff, which is probably the best game on the slate today. Not a game I have any money on, but I do have an opinion, and I know you guys will as well. Ohio State -10, seeing some 10.5s popping back up versus pretty fraudulent, in my opinion, Indiana team. Chase, do you have anything you want to touch on in this game? Do you have any money on it? Where do you lean? What are you doing? Why don't you start us off?
I've looked at Ohio State all week. I mean, that's what I've looked at all week. I'm like, man, and then the line just keeps moving down towards Ohio State. We're down to 10. I don't know. I think it's probably the right side. I'm like you. I think Indiana is probably pretty damn fraudulent. They've played no one. That putting up a shitload of points on offense isn't going to work against Ohio State. You're not going to run up the score. So I would definitely lean that side, but I'm like you. I don't have a nickel on it.
Duke?
Yeah, same as you. I mean, picking the guy's brain at the bar last night, seeing where their head was at. They were asking me, they thought it was 12 or 13. I told them it came down to 10, 10.5. A lot of them still thought, man, it's a whole lot of points to give undefeated Hoosiers. So definitely lean the fave here when, like I said, when I see 70% of people on a dog, I kind of tend to pull back the reins a little bit.
Yeah. The thing that worried me here is OSU missing 2 offensive linemen, I think could be big. But with that said, I still don't see Indiana creating the pressure up front to really cause enough problems to give Ohio State issues today. Just to be totally clear here, it would be Ohio State or pass for me in this spot. I don't want to lay the 10 points. But there's no scenario where I play Indiana here either. So that's just where I stand. I will be watching the game with CT Betts, who I know Ohio State was his best bet. So I do have something to root for. Some other stuff going today. We had some requests from some guys. We'll get into those shortly. Some pretty big games. Chase, I know you have 2 plays on this slate. Why don't you start us off with the one that I also agreed with you? I'm shocked I didn't get to the window with that we've been talking about all week. Why don't you start us off?
I mean, this is my best bet of the week. I think UCF is wildly undervalued in this spot. West Virginia always gets a ton of credit for being great at home. They've lost their last 3 home games soundly. It's because they can't stop the run. They rank middle of the field in the NCAA in stopping the run. UCF has a dynamic ground game. They put up a lot of yards on the ground. I would expect this game to be fairly competitive for a bit, but I think eventually UCF wears them down and runs away with this thing late. UCF, despite being normally an offensive-minded team, actually does have a decent ground defense. So you're going to force West Virginia to throw the ball, which could probably lead to some turnovers. I like UCF -3 handily.
It's funny. I think the very first text of the week, I think like late Sunday night or early Monday morning, because you guys always wake up to my text messages on Monday because I'm texting you at 6 a.m. my time. It's 3 a.m. your time.
Yeah.
But I fully expected UCF to be my best bet this week. Have not got to the window with it for a couple reasons, but mostly West Virginia is not the team at home that they have been in years past.
Nope.
I fully expected to play UCF here. The fact that I didn't, I don't really know why. I just found some other spots that I liked a little better. But yeah, it's UCF or pass here for me. West Virginia is not a team I'm looking to put my money on.
Last 3 games, West Virginia at home has given up 49, 45, and 28.
Yeah. And UCF could easily put up a 50 piece on them.
Yeah.
Yep. Has any opinion on that spot before we jump over to something else?
No, you're right. I just wish that the JMs, Mountaineers, would figure it out because it is fun to play them as ugly home dogs historically. I'd like to send that fucking.
Nothing makes me feel better than on a Saturday when they cover and we're on them and I get to post that fucking country road song
Right. Yeah, exactly.
on Twitter as a recap. It's been my favorite over the years. But yeah, it's just not the same West Virginia team we're used to seeing. Let's get into a couple games that some guys had some questions on. Mr. Horse Handicapper, the man himself, Sean, wanted to know if we had any opinion on Rice versus UAB, Rice -7. I quickly responded to him on my post. Rice was actually almost a play for me here. I would have had no problem laying the 7. Once again, it was a spot where I just found some other stuff I preferred more. Ultimately, I believe Rice and UAB are both pretty bad football teams. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe either one of them are over 500. But yeah, ultimately,
Horse picked a real barn burner on that one.
Yeah,
3-7 versus 2-8.
Sean was like, "Let me fuck them up and ask him about Rice UAB." Nobody's capping that game today. But it was a game I looked at, just a game I stayed away from. Either of you have an opinion there before we jump to something else?
I looked at the line and then just went, nope, and went to the next game.
Fair enough. Duke?
Yeah, I went a couple games down at the 11:30 spot and found some more poop. So nothing on the Rice.
Yeah. All right. Brian Sturgeon asked about UConn at Cuse. Cuse being 10-point faves. UConn being my hometown squad. Man, I don't know if I want to lay 10 points with Syracuse versus anybody. Because UConn team's been feisty. They're bowl eligible. I believe they're 7-3, right? Yeah. But this Cuse team, it seems like I've been on the wrong side of them a couple times this year. I fully expected Cal to blow their doors in, and that certainly didn't happen. So yeah, not a game I'm involved in, but for me, I would take the 10 points with a feisty UConn team before I laid 10 with Cuse. You two, Chase, opinion here?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really handicapped the game X's and O's wise, but I was just looking at where the money lies. Looks like 77% of the tickets are on UConn, 90% of the money.
Yeah, always good to take note of that. Duke, any opinion here? I know you, like myself, have watched quite a bit of Cuse football this year.
Yeah, I've been seen some UConn games too. But yeah, I looked at it, saw that they were both 7-3. Was kind of surprised that it was the double digits, although, historically you think of UConn and we don't think of a football. So it makes sense that Syracuse would get a little bit of inflation. I just, like you said, I've seen UConn be scrappy, but it was also a 17-10 win over this dog shit Rice team we were just talking about. So it's like, so I stayed away from it. I didn't have an opinion unless, my mush comes in on Syracuse. I'll gladly take the Huskies.
Yeah. Let's talk about one more viewer request game before we get into some of our stuff, and then we'll jump back into some of the other games people were asking about. But my buddy Ron Wise, big Nebraska guy, wanted to know about Nebraska, Wisconsin catching one. I'll let either one of you guys start here. Nebraska's a team that Chase normally has an opinion on one way or another. So I'll let you start here.
Man, I've just been on the wrong side of them like half the year. It just seems like. So I just quit playing those games. I mean, every time I think, oh, man, this thing is just dead. They've lost the locker room. Nothing makes sense. They show up and play a good game. So, I mean, I was looking at Wisconsin early just because Dylan Raiola has been fucking awful.
So bad.
Yeah, like it's so hard for me to get to the window on anything Nebraska, even if the line looks like it should be that way. So I was kind of looking Wisconsin, but I haven't got a dollar on it yet.
Yeah. My opinion here is I'd be worried about a Wisconsin hangover after playing the Ducks fucking strong last week.
That's why I didn't play it.
Yep. So there wouldn't be a scenario in this game where I ever have money on Wisconsin. As much as I am not actively trying to place hard-earned money on this Nebraska team any longer, it would be Nebraska or pass for me, for the simple fact that I think Wisconsin gave it all they had last week, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this Wisconsin team quit. Duke, opinion there before we jump over some other stuff?
Yeah, it was their Super Bowl. They're double-digit dogs at home. They could have knocked off number one. They had it in their grasp. They couldn't do it. But, yeah, both these teams are limping in there. Whiskey's lost 3 straight. Nebraska's coming off 4 straight, including, OSU, the big one, and then UCLA and USC. So I could see Nebraska being up for this one since, historically the last 5 years, Wisconsin's been the better squad. But,
Yeah. Don in the comments just asked about Northwestern Michigan. I'm going to touch on that real quick, real simple. I think I have more passing yards in college football than this Michigan team does. That's not a team I'm ever looking to put my money on. Northwestern is equally as garbage as this Michigan squad. So not a game I'm looking to place my money on, Doug.
The only winner in that game will be those who don't watch.
Correct. I'm actually looking forward to that game being over.
Yeah.
So yeah. But listen, I got a couple things this week. Nothing personally for me in the 12 o'clock window in college football. I did give out a hoops play at noon, but I have a play in the afternoon window. BA, we're going to get to that game after we talk about some of our stuff. Some other guys wanted to know about BC also. I played Louisville -7.5 for 1 unit. If anyone watched last week, this was a Louisville team that lost as 21-point favorites. I see a big bounce back opportunity for them here. Interesting stat, Louisville team at home as a favorite, 11-3 against the spread the last 2 seasons. This is an offense that could score points. And most importantly, a Pittsburgh team that I think has quit on the season.
Weren't they 7-0?
What?
They were 7-0.
Yeah, and have gotten their doors beat off fucking 4 weeks in a row, I believe. I think this Pitt team quit 3 weeks in a row. But hey, Chase, like we could also talk about, I believe Louisville started 6-0 or 5-0 also.
5-1 or something.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this is a Pitt team that I'm looking to fade, and actually made me really excited. I text you guys in the group early in the week. I played Louisville, and a couple other really good cappers that I trust. I saw came in on Louisville as well. Made me feel like I played the right side, but only time will tell in the afternoon window. Either one of you have an opinion on this game before we move on?
Duke.
No, I looked at this, lean that way as well. Just didn't get to play any money on. I was thinking the same thing. She's like how Pitt's how the mighty have fallen. They look like they're going to put together a good season, and just blew up on them.
Yeah, it's like the wheels just fell off the fucking bus, dude. Yeah, I think they've packed it in. I think they're looking forward to next year. But yeah, Chase, opinion there before we move on?
I just knew when I saw it was over a touchdown. I was like, that's got cheese written all over it.
Sure does. Yep, sure did. So yeah, Louisville -7.5, 1 unit for cheese. All right, BA, my boy Johnny both wanted to hear about BC versus UNC. BC catching 2.5. I'm going to start us off seeing as I'm fucking 20 minutes from the BC Stadium. Castellanos quit on the team. Everyone thinks BC's just packed it in, right? Not so fast. It would be BC or pass for me here. I think the team rallies around the second, third, fourth string quarterback, whatever the fuck dude is. It would be BC or pass for me here. We've talked about this Tar Heels team on this show so many times throughout this season. I don't think I've been on the right side of them once. I expect them to get blown out. They show up. I expect them to show up. They get blown the fuck out. Like, I don't even know what to make of it. This is a BC team that's shown some grit, played some games tough, won some games they shouldn't have won. Castellanos quitting on them. I don't know if it's as big of a deal as this line indicates. It would be BC or pass for me here. Chase, any opinion here?
I would not bet UNC with your money. I'm done with UNC. I've given up on them for the year. It doesn't matter what I do on UNC. If I don't bet on them, they look like the fucking 2007 Patriots. I'm like, all right, I give up.
Yeah. Duke, opinion there? I know you probably hate this UNC team as much as we do.
Yeah, I think I've bet on them with you guys, not as many times, but BC's been good to us. I think I was on them at home, covered against Louisville, and then they took care of Syracuse for us a couple weeks ago. So
that was my best bet versus QSEP.
Yeah, I was on it with you. It's so yeah, like you said, it's just it would be BC. It's why is it only, like you said, their quarterback's out, so just dangle the 2.5 with the UNC.
Yeah. Surely UNC could beat a backup by 3, right? Yeah. So Johnny, BA, hope you guys tuned in to hear that. It would be BC or pass for the boys. 2 more games to touch on before we'll get back into our stuff. This is a new thing I want to try to do with the show. Tweet out, see if any viewers have any questions about games, and we'll try to get to them on the show. I do like doing this. Tom Collins wanted to know about K-State laying 8.5 versus Cincinnati. Our friend Kelly in Vegas, his squad. I'm going to keep it plain and simple, Tom. Not a game I have any money on. Not a game I have much of an opinion on. I did look at it, but I don't think there's a scenario where I am ever laying 8.5 with Kansas State unless they are playing UMass fucking Lowell. Not a team I'm putting my money on. I think this K-State team is fugazi. I don't think they are very good. But with that being said, I don't know if Cincinnati's good enough to even stay in this game. So I wouldn't lay the 8.5. Certainly wouldn't take it with Cincy either. But K-State's not a team I want to be involved with. Duke, opinion here. I know you've watched some K-State football.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've won money not betting on them because they barely won against Kansas. And I know they've been falling apart too recently, and they lost to frickin' Houston and ASU, so it just hasn't been good. But I have my eye on another 5 o'clock Pacific time game that's right around there, and not that one. So we'll get into that. Maybe I'll share that after.
Cool. All right. One more viewer request game that we should bring up. Colorado versus Kansas. Colorado laying 2.5. One of you guys start us off here. Not a game I have any money on.
I don't mind. I've been looking at it. I think there's a lot of things at play in that game. One, Kansas coming off a huge win at BYU in a night game. Obviously, normally I'd be looking to fade that victory. I do think Colorado's a better team. They're playing some decent football despite all of the fucking noise around them. Defensively, they're still a little bit of a liability, but man, they can score. I would say that I also would look at some of the officiating. I'm not normally a big person on this, but you can't tell me the college football playoffs don't want Colorado in the mix. So if they can get them in there, I think they will do everything they can to help them out. 2.5 is kind of that weird number where the line doesn't make a lot of sense. But if I'm betting aside, I'm definitely on Colorado.
Yeah, this was a game. Shout out HN 1987 for asking about it. So Kansas is a team. They've been the sharp side numerous times this year. They were the sharp side last week. They get the cover win versus BYU. And here they are, what I think would be the sharp side also in this spot. This Colorado team, I don't think is very good. I think they've overachieved this season. I certainly don't think they make any noise long-term this season moving forward, whether it's the Independence Bowl or the fucking 12-team playoff. Not a team I want to put my money on. It would be Kansas or pass for me here. My hesitation, Snacks. We're not doing college basketball, but that'll be a different show, pal. Love you, buddy. Kansas is a team that we've seen fall apart multiple times this year. Have had the lead in the fourth quarter or late in the second half, 5, 6, 7 fucking times this year, and we've seen them squander it almost every time. Just not convinced Kansas can close here. So not a game I got involved in, but it would certainly be Kansas or pass. So yeah.
Yeah, I just is on the. I haven't submitted the 6 this pack yet, but this is definitely in the mix of maybe being in there. Like Chad said, the pause I was on them last week against BYU. They've been great. I mean, they're coming off wins against Iowa State and BYU, 2 ranked opponents. It's funny, they look so good. They keep the game so close. It's amazing that they're actually 4-6. So the line 8-2 versus 4-6. It still seems like, why is it only 2.5? The Colorado, like you guys said, everyone's talking. Now all they have to do is keep winning. They can win Big 12 and then fucking go to the college football. I don't know. I kind of want to.
Yeah, it's so easy, right? So easy. Doji wanted to know about 4-6 Arizona versus 6-4 TCU. Arizona is not a team I want to put my money on. I'm 0-2 backing them this season. It would be TCU or pass for me in that spot. Arizona has just been awful on the road this year. They're 1-3 on the road, so not a game I think that they have a chance to win. So I would put my money on TCU if I played that spot.
If Arizona played UNC and I bet on them to finish the game, they wouldn't even get off the bus.
Yeah. They might not even show up to the game.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah, so Doji, it would definitely be TCU for me there in that spot. Also, TCU is a team that converts on third down at like a crazy rate, like 40-45%. It would be TCU there for me. So, yeah, let's get into some other stuff. I have a 2-unit best bet on the card. I know Chase has another one he wants to talk about. Duke has a big game going later. Duke, why don't you talk a little bit about that? I mean, this is a game that we discussed a little bit. We all agree on the side. Auburn +2 versus Texas A&M. Where do you stand there?
Yeah, I love that it's at 4:30. 7:30 Eastern. It's the ESPN game, national televised game. Auburn kind of limping in 4-6 here, very under, their average of where they like to be. They like to be, the team that can compete against Bama when they play later on, and that's not going to happen this year. So, but hey, Texas A&M coming in 8-2, top 20 team, number 15, got a number next to them. Had a cakewalk last week against.
Got a number next to them. I love it.
We got that number, makes them look all good. They just got a cakewalk against New Mexico State last week, and the line's just, I don't see it. I love the line lock. I mean, you gotta love when it's under a field goal. All you gotta do is just lay it with the road team, the better team.
Just win.
Just win. All you gotta do is win by a safety. You know, then you push. It's that easy. So I'm gonna take Auburn at home tonight, baby, under the lights.
I agree with you here. Let me ask you guys a question, hypothetical, because I really think it comes into play here. So we have a one-loss Texas team who is a nationally ranked top 4 school in the country, almost a lock, right, to make the college football playoff. This line screams Auburn, right? Like we got Texas lane 2. Yeah, Buffy likes Auburn too. With a Texas team who has A&M next week, right? If Texas loses next week to A&M and a 2-loss Texas team who has beat A&M would be their best bet, their best win on their schedule.
By far.
Seeing as we watch them get their doors blown in by Georgia. Does a 2-loss Texas team make the college football playoff? I'm curious what you guys think.
In my opinion, they shouldn't. I mean, the problem that I have with Texas is they haven't really played a good schedule. And I know it's not really the players' fault, but they don't have any signature wins. I mean, I can't remember who I was seeing talk about this the other day, but it's almost like a big school bias. Like, hey, it's a big name, and we just gave them a big rating to start the year, and all of a sudden they don't have to play anyone. It's like they have one loss. Yeah, but I mean, there's other teams that have one loss that are they just don't have the name. They don't have the brand. So
for sure. Yeah, when I was looking at this Auburn game, I'm thinking in my head, I'm looking at him like, all right, if a lousy, shitty Auburn team beats A&M today, and then that same A&M team that lost to 4-6 Auburn wins outright versus the Longhorns, and then they have a 25-point loss to Georgia on their resume with no big win, no signature wins. How do you let them in? I live in Austin, and I totally agree. Doji, we were just in Austin. The boys were at Texas, Georgia. We watched Texas get their fucking doors blown in, Doji. Yeah, this Texas team is not anything impressive. But yeah, as far as Auburn goes today, I think it's definitely Auburn or pass. I think they are the side. It's actually the one game outside of UCF that I haven't played yet that there is a possibility that it gets added to my card later.
If you look at two teams to compare in that argument is Texas and SMU. Look at SMU. They've played a harder schedule than Texas.
Yeah, I mean, I find it hard to believe that there's a scenario where the committee puts SMU in over Texas, who
they won't.
Yeah, never. It's not happening. Especially with the crowd that Texas would bring to a college football playoff environment, viewership, everything, the money that they would generate from that.
And for the record, I think Texas is a better team, but the idea is you still have to prove it. You got to prove it on the field.
Listen, and that's where the discussion with the college football playoff comes in. It's like, hey, they talk about getting the 12 best teams in, and with these rankings, and it's like looking at these rankings, like I don't have Texas in the top 6. Attaboy. I don't have Texas in my top 6. I don't have Indiana in my top 15. Like I don't have BYU or Colorado anywhere near the top fucking 200. like you know what I mean? Like it's in comparison to some of these big boy schools who I think just fucking blow the brakes off these teams on a neutral.
Yeah.
So yeah, college football playoffs exciting. Curious to see what happens this year. We still got a couple weeks of football left here, but we still got a couple games to talk about. I know Chase got another one. I have a 2-unit best bet going in the 7:30 or 7:30 Eastern Standard Time window. I played the Monarchs, boy. Old Dominion -3. I texted this to the group chat earlier. The boys knew I was going to be on ODU in this spot. This is equally as much a fade on Marshall. And I know everyone's going to say, how are you looking to fade a 8-3 or 7-3 team? Easily. This is a Marshall team who their splits at home versus on the road are astronomical. All three of Marshall's L's have come on the road. I expect their fourth L to come on the road tonight. Old Dominion comes into this game off back-to-back L's. Played JMU last week, had every opportunity to win that game. Everyone knows James Madison is somewhat of a powerhouse. We talk about with these smaller schools. Old Dominion should have won that game. They went into the locker room with the lead at halftime, squandered it late. Interesting stat I read from that Old Dominion game last week where I think they clean it up this week enough to get the win. They lost to James Madison last week by 3, despite going 1 for 12 on third down. I don't like going 1 for 12 on third down or 1 for 11 on third down. You would think the box score shows a team getting beat by 21, 17. Like, how do you stay on the field? How do you keep the ball? They were getting big chunks on first and second. I expect this Old Dominion team to do the same thing tonight. I played -3. I think this Marshall team takes their fourth L tonight. So, yeah, Old Dominion -3, 2-unit best bet for Cheese this week. You guys, what do you think of this spot? I know we talked about it a little bit in the chat. Seemed like you guys agreed. Do you want to add anything to it, Chase?
I didn't really look too hard at it. I kind of overlooked the game, to be honest. And then I knew I'd mentioned it earlier in the week, and then Duke put it in this morning. He goes, "Oh, good Lord." And I looked at that line. I'm like, "Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that smells to high heaven." So I figured one of you two would be bagging on that one for sure.
Yep. Hazmat, what do you got on Old Dominion here?
Yeah, that was great when I texted you like, yeah, you're going to like my best bet then.
Yeah.
Because I said, what the heck, did Marshall coming in? I thought I saw the line wrong when I said 4 and 6 is favored. What the hell? So, but yeah, I mean they've lost their last 2 games, scrappy games, kind of lost to App State and JMU. But I mean, Marshall's coming in 4 in a row. They did take care of Southern Miss on the road, 37-3. So they're coming in and then beat Coastal Carolina pretty good. You think, man, they're just steamrolling these teams. They can't do the same to.
And they're catching 3 points.
Yeah.
Wow, so, how easy. It's so easy.
Yeah. So I gotta love it when you can take the smelly fave.
Yeah. So, it's Old Dominion for the boys. Chase, I know you got another one you wanted to talk about, a game that I'm sure not a lot of people have on their radar. See, North Texas ECU. Where are you going in this spot?
I'm going North Texas. They're on an L4. So they've been getting beat, but they're not exactly losing to bad teams. They lost at Memphis, at home against Tulane, and at home against Army. Those are not bad losses.
Not only are they not bad losses, those are like good losses. All 3 of those.
I mean, to be honest, and here's the thing. On top of it, they're still putting up points. The only game they didn't put up points was against Army. Everybody else, they're still putting up lots of points. They're averaging almost 500 yards of offense. So one of the more prolific offenses in college football. And they're playing an ECU team that, yeah, they're on a win streak of 3, but they've played Tulsa, who's ass. They've played Temple, who's ass. And then they also played FAU, and they got the doors blown. They blew the doors off FAU. So it's like they've really only had one decent win in the last couple weeks, and FAU is not good either. So, for me, I just think it's 2 teams that are kind of being oversold and undersold. ECU probably isn't nearly as good as what their record would suggest. North Texas is probably a lot better than their record would suggest. North Texas is at home. To me, 2.5 points, I think that's an easily coverable number. I do worry it's going to be a little bit of a track meet. North Texas is not good on the defensive side of the ball. So, getting the win sealed is one thing, but I would expect North Texas to put up 35, 40 points easy.
Wow. Yeah, not a game I had a huge opinion on. I did tell you earlier when you gave it to me, I'm certainly not betting ECU in this spot. But Duke, opinion here before we touch on one last game.
We've got an Ohio State chant happening in the chat.
Can I see it? Yeah. Just pull the chat up so we can see it. Oh, my boy. Yeah. That's Rusty Betts. Rusty Betts does my stat keeping. Rusty's one of my very good buddies, very good friend of mine. Another local kid. We live in the same hometown. One more. Buff likes Minnesota, like Kentucky. Nice. Good luck today, Buffy. Another game. Last one to touch on before the boys get going. Save the best for last. Our favorite Canadian, Mr. Hawk himself. Army versus Notre Dame at the world's shittiest fucking baseball stadium, Yankee Stadium. In the elements, in the rain. Look, I'm sure it's raining in New York too. Notre Dame -14. Anyone have an opinion here?
Yes, I do. I've got a friend of mine that he's kind of a square better, but he is a Notre Dame fucking fanatic. So he knows everything about every player. He knows whose wife's pissed off at him, whose girlfriend cheated on him. He knows fucking everything. He's kind of in the same boat as me. We talked about earlier this week. I like Notre Dame to beat the doors off of Army. I know everybody thinks that this is a fraudulent team. Like, oh my God, they haven't played anyone. I understand that. But dude, they can play some defense. It is very difficult to move the ball on Notre Dame. Army is basically a one-dimensional team at this point in time. They are not throwing the ball much. They are going to be outmatched. Notre Dame is a lot bigger on the defensive and offensive line. I think Army's been, on a good run, but I think that run ends today. 14 is a big number, but I would still lean that way.
It was a big number versus Navy too, and they beat the fucking brakes off them.
Yeah.
So it would be Notre Dame or pass for me here. I've been pretty vocal about this Notre Dame team. I am not very high on them, but this is like the big boys versus the little boys. You know what I mean? I don't see how Army keeps it close here. I think Notre Dame could win this game 44-10, and I wouldn't blink an eye.
These are guys that are in the military versus future professional athletes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Duke, any opinion here before we wrap it up on this fucking shitty weather Saturday?
No, I just have one thing to say is don't be afraid of the poop this Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Speaking of poop, you guys know it, so we'll keep it on the wraps for now. But my best bet in the NFL is fucking ugly. Yeah, we'll get to that later. But Chase, thanks for getting us on this morning. Duke, thanks for making some time for the boys. As far as Week 13 college football goes, the boys will see you hopefully next week. Let's cash some tickets today. Peace.
Cash some tickets. All right, later, boys. Love